Hola! Your dream vacation to Vietnam starts from rupees 39,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
But GOAT பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஒரு மாசான மூவி. VFX work, விஜய் சாரோட அந்த மூமெண்ட்ஸ் மட்டும் தான் பேக் பண்ணோம். எவ்வளோ சேலஞ்சிங்காக இருந்துச்சு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல்?
See, it is a completely different genre. First one,
the most toughest shot na enna solreenga GOATல?
Toughest, I think the project itself is, I won't say tough.
Okay.
I would say challenging.
It's the most challenging. Spark also and mari da irundhuchilla.
Spark was also again mixed reality. But basically a production designer Rajivan sir had like created the waterfall is real. And I was sitting in the monitor. I have to like literally the operator will be sitting next to me. I was shouting instructions. Okay, camera up, camera down, camera left. So it's like that. Okay. So but it was so much fun.
மெர்சல்ல ஆக்சுவலி ஒரு சீன் வரும். ரொம்ப க்ளோஸ் அப்பில் விஜய் சார் வந்து டியர்ஸ் ஆகிற மாதிரி அது ரொம்ப பெருசாக பேசினாங்க. ஏன்னா அவ்வளோ க்ளோஸ் உள்ள டியர்ஸ் ஆகிற மாதிரி பார்த்ததில்லை அப்படின்ட்டு. கோட்டில் தான் நாங்கள் திரும்ப அதை பார்த்தோம். ஒரு ஒயிட் ஃப்ரேமில் கையை அப்படி விரிச்சிட்டு விஜய் சார் கத்துவார். உலகெங்கும் வாழக்கூடிய ஆகாயம் தமிழ் நெஞ்சங்களுக்கு கிறிஸ்டியின் அன்பு வணக்கம். இன்றைக்கி நம்ம கூட வந்து சினிமாட்டோகிராஃபர் சித்தார்த் நுனி இணைஞ்சிருக்காரு. வணக்கம் சார்.
வணக்கம்.
ஃபஸ்ட்டு உங்களை ஒர்க் பார்த்து வியந்து போயிருக்கோம். ஆக்சுவலி கோட்லேயும் அப்படி தான் ஒரு விஷுவல் ட்ரீட் இருந்துச்சு பார்க்கும்போது. எல்லா ஃப்ரேமும் சரி எல்லாமே இருந்துச்சு. இப்போ மற்ற படங்கள் நீங்கள் பண்ண படங்களில் பார்க்கும்போது வெந்து தணிந்தது காடு, கேப்டன் மில்லில் பார்க்கும்போது நிறைய ஃப்ரேமுக்கு நிறைய ஒர்க் இருந்துச்சு. அவங்க சொன்ன விதம் நம்மளால் ஒரு கதை சொல்ல முடியும் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி விஷயம் இருந்துச்சு. பட் கோட் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஒரு மாசான மூவி. VFX ஒர்க், விஜய் சாரோட அந்த மூமெண்ட்ஸ் மட்டும் தான் பேக் பண்ணோம். எவ்வளோ சேலஞ்சிங்காக இருந்துச்சு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஆல்?
See, it is a completely different genre. First one, it's a mass entertainer, but we kind of wanted to treat it in a different way, not like a regular commercial film madri illama, because it has a lot of CG work like you said, but also it is a international action thriller and so on.
Okay.
Like when the script came to me, generally what we do is that we do a lot of referencing. Endha madri padangal illa in the space la varum first. So in that space, when we thought of it, like for us, the titles that came to my mind were Mission Impossible, adukapram Born Identity.
Oh, okay.
In the Bond series from Daniel Craig era, like Skyfall and all of that. In the stories, there is a vulnerable hero. If you look at Bond films before Daniel Craig, Bond was invincible. Invincible in the sense that he is a very cool guy who's like, but nobody delves into his background. Where did he come from? What was his story?
Okay.
What was his background? What was his family life like? What was his childhood like? Nobody knows it. Mission Impossible also. And if you look at Born Identity, it is a hero who doesn't know who he is.
Yes.
He's trying to find his identity. So these are all vulnerable heroes who are trying to find their way around this international espionage genre. We felt that the GOAT falls into that space. Like also, primarily because we were shooting the film in Thailand and then like Moscow and Sri Lanka and Tunisia. So the world itself was different. We wanted to set it apart as an international action thriller, but with the core of an Indian middle class household, upper middle class household. So if you look at the web series, A Family Man, Manoj Bajpayee's character is like, very, regular middle class family, but he has an alternate life. Same thing was in this, like Gandhi's character was like a regular middle class, upper middle class household, but he has an alternate life of an international, spy agency, SATS. So when VP sir narrated the story, we were trying to figure out what is the visual grammar of this film, and also the fact that it has Vijay sir like playing Gandhi, right? That adds a layer to it. Yeah. So, but we want to stay true to the whole idea of it. So if you look at Gandhi's everyday life, we treated it in a very, his mundane lifestyle madri, right? So as soon as the song ends, he comes back home, and then Sneha ma'am is like, that whole sequence, and the next morning,
total color tone vera mari irukku.
Yes, or a subtle zone la poitom. So that juxtaposition, even the sequence where Sneha ma'am calls him from the kitchen and he is hanging from a skyscraper, that conversation, so it intercuts between the ஒரு இந்தியன் ஹவுஸோட வார்ம் கிச்சன் வந்து cuts to Moscow or Turkey or a skyscraper. So the tonality itself, we treated it very differently. So that's how I think it kind of comes alive. The worlds come alive. So if you look at the visual grammar of the film, we can say it's The Family Man meets Mission Impossible meets Born Identity.
ஏஆர் முருகதாஸ் சார் வந்து ஒரு இன்டர்வியூவில் சொல்லியிருப்பாரு, விஜய் சாரும் கேமராவும் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி ஒன்று சொல்லியிருப்பாரு. ஏன்னா விஜய் சாருக்கு அந்த கேமரா ஃபேவராக எப்படி நிற்கணும், அந்த ஷோல்டர், தென் அவர் ஐஸ் வந்து எப்போ ஆடியன்ஸை பார்க்கும் போது அந்த ஐஸை திருப்பணும், இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஷார்ப்பாக நோட் பண்ணுவார் அப்படின்ற மாதிரி. அவர் நடந்து வரும்போது கூட ஃப்ரண்ட்டில் கேமரா வரும்போது என்ன மாதிரி வந்துட்டு லுக் கொடுத்தா கரெக்டாக இருக்கும், அந்த ஷோல்டரை வந்து மெயின்டைன் பண்ணுறது. ஸோ அது எப்படி இருந்துச்சு?
So that it's too precise. But sir improvises a lot. Like when the sir obviously gets the dialogues beforehand, like the previous day itself or today.
Okay.
So he comes in very prepared. Adukapram sir improvises. So VP sir and I will have like, okay, we can do it this way, or we plan something. And sir comes in and he looks around and he's like, suppose there's a door there or like, some prop there. He starts using that, okay, and then he does something. And all we need to do is we plan it according to that.
Okay. And the frame என்னலாம் இருக்கணும் இருக்க கூட அவரே முடியும்.
Oh yeah. Suddenly he'll go behind the door, and I think that Marudumalai, that house. If I'm not wrong, he only went behind that. Okay, I'll do it this way. Okay. You get it right. So yes. He does that. He has that.
That knowledge and.
And he knows the camera. Only when you know the camera can you do, like improvise the camera.
லாட் ஆஃப் சீன்ஸை பற்றி பேசிகிட்டே இருக்கலாம். பட் மெட்ரோ ஃபைட் வந்து பயங்கரமாக எல்லாரும் பேசிகிட்டு இருக்கோம். ஏன்னா வந்து அந்த ஒரு பிஜிஎம்மோட அப்படி ஒரு என்ட்ரி கொடுக்கும்போது வித்தியாசமாக இருந்துச்சு. ஒரு ஃபார்மல் ஷர்ட் போட்டு ஒரு ஆள் இருக்காரு, அவர் வந்து ஒரு கண்ணாடி போட்டு வந்து நிற்கிறாரு. ஜஸ்ட் லுக் தான், பட் அது பார்க்கும்போது பெரிய மாஸ் சீன் மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ அந்த ஐடியாஸ் பற்றி.
So that's what VP sir wanted that. He wanted that, from the focus shifts and the train goes straight and then focus shifts to that. It was a fun experience because I think sir had come in just for those 2 shots for that night because Metro Vanda we got the permission, we could only shoot from 12 in the night to 4 a.m. because the petrol line closes only by 11:40, right? Adukapram train has to come to the station, then we have to load everything, figure out our shots. So sir had specifically come that night for those 2 shots and we were shooting between Nandanam and the next metro station. So we did 2 rounds. We figured out, okay, exactly enga curves irukku. I think it comes 2-3 times on the curve varudhu. First curve mattum correct and the angle was precise. So we did the shot 2-3 times basically and that's what you see in the film.
கண்டிப்பாக இதுக்கு முன்னாடி சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தீங்க, அந்த கலர் டோன் வந்து சேஞ்ச் ஆகிட்டே இருந்துச்சு படத்தில் அப்படின்னு. பார்க்குற எங்களுக்கும் அப்படி தான் இருந்துச்சு. திடீர்னு ரஷ்யா காட்டுறாங்க, திடீர்னு பார்த்தா இங்கே இந்தியாவில் ஒரு இடத்துல இருந்து வரும்போது திரும்பி வந்து ஷிஃப்ட் ஆகிட்டே இருக்குது. பட் எங்களுக்கு பார்க்கும்போதே எப்படி அப்படின்ற மாதிரி இருக்கும். பட் ஸ்க்ரீன் பிளே ஸ்பீடில் போகும்போது விபி உங்ககிட்ட சொல்லியிருப்பார்லாம், பிரதர் இங்கே ஒன்று அங்கே ஒன்று அப்படின்றது. அதை எப்படி கால்குலேட் பண்ணி டக்குன்னு கலர் டோன் மாற்ற முடியுது?
No, it is it's an aesthetic choice again. Basically, when we knew that, okay, we are going to shoot this film in multiple locations, we wanted to embrace that world.
Okay.
We can't dictate a world to Moscow. We can't go there and say that, okay, sun will... No, the world is different. So we wanted to embrace that. Like we could have said that, no, we'll do pastels. But my control is only upon the costumes of the characters, right, of the actors. But background level, what can we do? Or the light of that world. So what we want to just capture the world in all its essence. Okay. Like Moscow, the sunlight itself is different. There, for example, Indian sun would a color temperature, like anything below the equator, it's warm.
Okay.
Which is what Africa, India, South America. Our colors are very similar if you think of it. If you go above the equator, which is closer to the northern hemisphere, they use a lot of blacks because the weather is cold there, muted tones. The weather is cold there, so black absorbs light, right? Which is why I had lived in Estonia, which is like it's below Finland. So anga everybody wears only black. So if you look at it, so that's a name that I've brought. Why? Because it's very cold there. There's always snow, and to keep warm, black absorbs warmth, right? So northern hemisphere light different. The sun is always at an angle. Okay. So we want to embrace the truth of that moment, truth of that world.
Okay.
So I come from the school called Cinema Verite and Solite. Basically, it comes from the French New Wave, which is François Truffaut and Jean de Godard. These are these are filmmakers who have come up with the French New Wave. nouvelle vague and சொல்லுவாங்க. So அதில் என்னன்னா truth of the moment. Basically after the First World War, the Europe nothing was there. There was no money. But before that, they had like grand sets. Cinema na, it means it is like, you know, it is big film sets, big lights, beautiful lighting. But none of that. So you look at, oh, Hollywood superstar. And the madhida cinema was. They brought cinema to the streets. So they started shooting in the regular common or street la apdiye camera vechittu they would shoot scenes. So that is where About the Sofa, Breathless and so on. That is one of the first, in fact, the first film of the Nouvelle Vague. So, and then on the genre, a lot of films have come. Even the Italian neo-realism and so on. Bicycle Thieves. So these are all films. After the war, there was no money to make movies. So they just had the camera.
Okay.
So they went on the streets and made films. That is called cinema verite, which means a truth. Cinema of the truth cinema. Me, I come from a documentary background. So my job is to tell the truth of the moment. So when you say, look, it is based, when you go to Thailand, I want to capture Thailand in its essence. I don't want to dictate what Thailand has to be. I want Thailand to tell me what Thailand is. I want to capture, not even tell, I want to capture the beauty of Thailand. Right? Why do I have to dictate? It is like the beauty is already there. If you look at a movie like Slumdog Millionaire, right? It's colorful, it's vibrant, but it's set in the underbelly of Bombay, right? But it's celebrated as one of the very beautiful films. So what is the beauty about it? That the truth is a beauty. Because audience comes to watch the truth is what I truly believe in, honestly. If you talk about Vendu Thanindadhu, what makes it real is the truth, is what I truly believe. So my job as a filmmaker, as a cinematographer is, honestly, I believe is to capture the truth of that moment with the tools that we have.
Okay.
We have the tools of the camera, we have the tools of the lensing, we have the tools of movement. So all this I can use to tell a story.
The most toughest shot na enna solreenga goatla?
Toughest, I think the project itself is, I won't say tough.
Okay.
I would say challenging.
So most challenging.
If you talk, I mean, if you say Tunisia was difficult. Tunisia, we were shooting in the desert, primarily because of weather.
Okay.
Weather, we had to shoot in the Sahara desert. And literally, I was drinking water every 20 minutes. I was drinking half a liter of water. And thankfully, we just shot for 2 days there. I don't think third day would have survived. Okay. All of us were like, oh, podanda. Because we're not used to that. Moscow was also very difficult. Very challenging was also the Moscow action sequence. Moscow, we were shooting in the streets of Moscow. 15 feet road. And then we were shooting with this equipment called the Russian arm, which is a very, I haven't used it before. And I'm not sure if India has the Russian arm. So it is basically Hollywood films like Fast and the Furious. In the Mari Padangalella, they use the Russian arm. For example, you've seen the bike chase, right?
Yes.
Adila Vijay sir was riding the bike, and 2 days, we shot that for 4 days. 2 days sir had played Gandhi's role. 2 days Jeevan. And sir, when he was playing Gandhi, he was riding the bike and the stunt double was behind, right? So sir would ride the bike, the camera would be facing him on the
okay.
Russian arm, and the car would be here, right? And the car I am sitting with the operator, the focus puller, and the stunt driver. And we obviously, Dilip Master would tell us that, okay, now let's have the movement between left to right or top to bottom, or and what lens, is it 50 mm or 25 mm or 35 mm. So we decide all that, we do the rehearsal, we close the street, we do the rehearsal, and the stunt driver is belting it at 60, 70, 80 on narrow Moscow streets. And I was sitting in the monitor, I have to literally, the operator will be sitting next to me. I was shouting instructions. Okay, camera up, camera down, camera left. So it's like that.
Okay.
So but it was so much fun. And sir was actually behind. He was the one. He was with us. And after the rehearsal, we'll speak to sir and say that, so this is the movement and this is the lensing, and sir would just,
okay.
So when Jeevan's character was there, sir would be in the front. The camera will be facing front. So it was shot like that. It was very challenging, but fun at the same time.
Yes, actually ஒரு ரெண்டு toughest song நினைக்கிறேன். ஒன்று மல்லிப்பூ, அந்த சாங் எடுத்துறது. ஸோ அந்த சாங் ஒரு கலர் டோனில் இருக்கும். நீங்கள் அப்படியே சாங் அப்படியே ஒரு கூல் டோனில் போயிட்டு ஒரு வார்மாக போயிட்டு அப்படியே போயிட்டு அந்த சாங் ஃபுல்லாக எடுத்துகிட்ருப்போம். இங்கே மட்ட சாங் முடிஞ்ச உடனே ஒரு க்ரைம் நடக்குது. விஜய் சார் ஒருத்தரை குத்தி கொலை பண்ணுறாரு. ஸோ அதையும் காட்டணும். இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஐட்டம் நம்பர்ஸ் பார்த்தது கிடையாது. அந்த டோனில் பார்த்தது கிடையாது. ஏன்னா அங்கே ஏதோ ஒரு க்ரைம் நடக்க போகுது, ஃபைட் சீன் நடக்க போகுதுன்ற மாதிரியே தான் இருக்கும் அந்த சாங் ஃபுல்லாகவே. ஆனால் சாங் வந்து பயங்கர பெப்பியாக இருக்கும், பயங்கர டான்ஸாக இருக்கும், எல்லாமே இருக்கும். ஆனால் பெரிய லைட்டிங் ஒர்க்லாம் இருக்காது, ரொம்ப நார்மலாக தான் இருக்கும். ஸோ அது பிளான்டு தானா?
Yeah, 100%. See, my job as a cinematographer is to create the mood. If you think of it, it's actually a set. Actually, we had a lot of lights that day. But we keep it very realistic.
Okay.
Like realistic yet stylized is probably the way, is my sweet spot.
ஒரு கேங்ஸ்டர் கொண்டாடுற இடம் அப்படிதான் இருக்கும்.
Yes, is the sweet spot. But if you look at the close-ups of Trisha ma'am, of Sir, it's still glamorized. So it's like a sweet spot between realism plus style.
Okay.
Is where I would like to place my film to be at, right? Because we can't let go of the complete commercial element of the film as well. So we're bringing that, but we also keep it close to the truth as much as, as much as possible. So this song immediately happens after the Srinidhi's very crucial sequence, very dark sequence, and then it comes to a, so if you look at it, the color tone is actually warm. It's actually very dungy or dungeony kind of place. Yes. So it has that very warmth, but it also has the cool tone of the white light. So it's a mix of color temperatures, right? So if you look at this angle, the artists are lit up with warmer light. If you look at this axis, it's lit with white light. So it's like a juxtaposition of some kind of a complex situation.
Okay.
Right? You can't place it. Either correcta, tappa, you don't. It's like in that sweet. It's in that spot, and then there's celebration, right? So there is that sinister element to the lighting, but also there is that, that
crime நடக்க போகுதுங்க
அப்படின்ற மாதிரி. It's like it's a little complex sequence.
Mixed ஆன ஒரு இது.
That's why we did a lot of mixed lighting on that one.
மெர்சல்ல ஆக்சுவலி ஒரு சீன் வரும், ரொம்ப க்ளோஸ் அப்ல விஜய் சார் வந்து டியர்ஸ் ஆகிற மாதிரி. அது ரொம்ப பெருசாக பேசினாங்க, ஏன்னா அவ்வளோ க்ளோஸ் உள்ள டியர்ஸ் ஆகிற மாதிரி பார்த்ததில்ல அப்படின்ட்டு. கோட்டில் தான் நாங்கள் திரும்ப அதை பார்த்தோம். ஒரு ஒயிட் ஃப்ரேமில் கை அப்படி விரிச்சிட்டு விஜய் சார் கத்துவார். ஏன்னா ஒரு எமோஷனல் வந்து அவ்வளோ பயங்கரமாக இருக்கும். ஒரு பையன் இறந்துட்டான் அப்படின்னும் போது எமோஷனல் அவ்வளோ தூரம் கவர் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க. ஸோ அந்த சீனோட பிளான் எப்படி இருந்துச்சு? ஏன்னா விஜய் சார் ரொம்ப
wanted to keep it very, very, that's what cinema verite again. Like VP sir wanted a long shot on the car and that flashy, like the camera is behind the car and the police order lights and the camera comes down and then it goes in front of Vijay sir, goes along with him, he comes down the steps. It was actually one single shot, but they chopped it into pieces for the into
single shot.
Yeah, it was a single shot. We planned it as a single shot.
Okay.
So the whole moment was captured in a single shot. So sir actually he comes down and he falters and it's in the movie.
Yes.
But that's all real. If, because anga vandu actually what happened was that they had forgotten to keep the ramps. Last moment we had to, I don't know, something makeshift was done. So it wasn't perfect. So sir came down, it was dark also. So it tripped. But the camera went on. Sir also, kept on. And that whole moment was, I think, one of the most powerful moments in the film. And it was a single shot, yeah.
யார் ரொம்ப ஃப்ளெக்சிபிள்? நான் ஒரு 3 பேர் சொன்னால் யார் ரொம்ப ஃப்ளெக்சிபிளான டைரக்டர்னு சொல்லுவீங்க? விபி, ஜிவிஎம், அருண் மாதேஸ்வரன்.
All three. I think it's like, see, I'll tell you what. Each director has their own meter. Okay? And the meter is, I wouldn't say flexible. Flexible is probably not the right word. I think each director is also very particular.
Okay.
They are not flexible in any way. Okay. I don't think any director is. It is about, they have a certain vision in their mind. Okay? And my job as a cinematographer is to make that vision come alive on screen. And thankfully, I have a lot of other people involved in the process. Like there's a stunt director, there is a production designer. So the grammar of the film is set over time. Like for a film like, for Arun, it was like we both bonded on Akira Kurosawa's work. We wanted the film to have that Akira Kurosawa look. If you ask me flexibility, I don't know if that is the right word, but more or less it's about, if their vision is coming alive, they're cool.
Okay, but GVM is different, right? நான் சாங்ஸ்லாம் ஷூட் பண்ணும்போது எனக்கு ஜிவிஎம் சார் கிட்ட ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச விஷயம், சாங் மட்டுமே ரொம்ப பயங்கரமாக அதுக்காக எஃபோர்ட் போட்டு பண்ணுவார்.
It's an effort for everything. It's not like song இப்படி சொல்ல முடியாது. Because If you look at VTK, it's a very intense film. It's a very, from the word go, sir was very involved in the whole process, and he has to be.
ஏன்னா அந்த மல்லிப்பூ சாங் பண்ணும்போது கூட பேசும்போது அது ரொம்ப சிங்கிள் ரூம், அதுக்குள்ள அத்தனை பேர், அதுக்குள்ள மாஸ்டரும் உள்ளதா இருக்காங்க.
So the beauty about these directors are they're very particular about what they want, and they also know the technicality of it. It's not that ஏதோ outlandish இது பண்ணிடலாம், அது they won't do that. Yeah. They know the technology. They know how much they can push it. Of course, if it is not possible, I can always go and talk to them. Everybody is open, and they're very they're happy to speak to you, and happy to collaborate basically. If it is not possible, I can always go and say, this might not work, can we do something else? That's always, and that dialogue keeps going on.
Okay. அந்த சாங் முடிச்சோன்னே என்ன சொன்னாரு ஜிவிஎம்? ஏன்னா அது ரொம்ப டஃபஸ்ட்டாக எங்களுக்கு பார்க்கும்போது தெரிஞ்சு, அது முடிச்சோடனே ஒரு டிரான்ஸ்ஃபர்மேஷனும் இருக்குது சிம்புவுக்கு.
So the thing is that we shot the scene immediately after that. So it's Brinda ma'am, honestly. The truth is that the trust that I've seen her work do it. The previous evening she had come, and all these boys are non-dancers, right? They're not background dancers, none of them. They're all actually the Paroda shop boys, right? They're all actors. Ma'am came, and then she just transformed the room in like a span of an hour, and they're all jolly, they're dancing and all of that. And we rehearsed with the camera. We shot it only the next night, if I'm not wrong. But the rehearsal was so good. It's Brinda ma'am's like training and caliber. It was very smooth. We shot it like 4 takes, that's it. And then everybody clapped and cheered, and we were like, yeah. And then we quickly went on to the scene and finished it.
ஓகே. இப்போ நவ் டெக்னாலஜி, இப்போ நம்ம இந்தியன் சினிமாவை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் டெக்னாலஜி வைஸ் வந்து நிறைய விஷயங்களை சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிட்டு தான் சொல்கிறாங்க. புதுசாக வந்துட்டு கேமராஸ் வருது, நிறைய டெக்னாலஜிஸ் வந்து இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணுறதா சொல்கிறாங்க. ஸோ அது எந்த அளவுக்கு இப்போது இம்ப்ளிமெண்ட் பண்ணும்போது ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியாக இருக்குது, ஓகே நெக்ஸ்ட் லெவல் நம்ம போயிட்டுருக்கோம் அப்படின்ற ஒரு ஃபீல் இருக்குது உங்களுக்கு?
That's what in this film, using the Russian arm and like the de-aging technology, see, this needs vision. VP sir could have done something easier, right? But he chose to do this, sticking to it, saying that no, we will do this. Idudha pananum.
Adha venum apdi.
Yes. And for that, conviction is very important. So we need more directors who can push the gamut. Ever since Bahubali had come, ever since Kalki, movies like this are really pushing the bar in terms of what is achievable. And I think it's great because I think more directors should get into sci-fi genre, periodicals, historicals, Tangalan. The Madri, let's start exploring more in this space. I think it should happen now, because I think post Bahubali, I think things have really opened up for very international looking films. We're not just making films for we won an Oscar, come on. So we're not just making for an Indian audience anymore. I think Indian cinema is pushing the bar. The other day, Saturday morning, I went to the theatre, suddenly at Palazzo, and suddenly there was this Japanese or Korean lady who was wearing the greatest of all time T-shirt and walking off. I'm like, who is this girl? So obviously it's an international audience. I heard some story about somebody that come from abroad and come and watch the film. So obviously we're pushing the bar, right?
Standard poyachu.
Yeah, so we need to keep pushing it. We need producers, we need visionary, because we have so much of talent. It's just that we have kind of stuck to a certain thing till a few years ago. But I think because since the COVID hit and post that, there's been a lot of exposure to world cinema because of Netflix, Amazon Prime. So everybody is watching web series from all over the world. A lot of people are stuck to Korean dramas. So people are exploring different genres. 10 years ago when Lucia released, 2013, Lucia was my third film. And when I finished the film, when I looked around, I didn't find many exciting scripts, exciting opportunities, which I could go, I'm so excited. But now when I look at it, every film is so exciting. VTK was there, and then there's Captain Miller, and there's this, and then there's Tangalan. There is it's like stories are exploding. I feel it's because of the OTT revolution, because people are accessing content which is very new. Suddenly everybody, mainstream also is kind of pushing towards something different.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's a good sign and we should keep at it.
கண்டிப்பாக வந்து இப்போ விஜய் சாரை பற்றி பேசும்போது கூட டான்ஸ் பற்றி நிறைய விஷயங்கள் சொல்லுவாங்க. அதுவும் சிங்கிள் டேக்கில் பண்ணுறாரு, அதுவும் இவ்வளோ லென்த்தி ஷாட் பண்ணுறாரு அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ இந்த படத்தில் பார்க்கும்போது எக்ஸ்ட்ரானரியாக இருக்குது. இவருக்கு வயசே ஆகாதா அப்படின்ற ஃபீல் தான் இருந்துச்சு. நீங்கள் வந்து ஷூட் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க, அதை பார்த்துட்டே இருந்திருப்பீங்க. சிங்கிள் டேக்கில் ஆடிட்டுருக்காரு, டபால் முடிச்சுட்டு அடுத்த ஸ்டெப் போகிறாரு அப்படின்னு. எப்படி இருந்துச்சு அதெல்லாம் பார்க்குறதுக்கு?
சார் அது வந்து ஐம் லைக் ஐ ஃபீல் பிளெஸ்ட் டு லைக் cinematography is the first eye that that sees the thing, right? Once we rehearse and sir comes in and performs, it's like it's electric actually. It's like it just comes alive, and I think that's the beauty of a great performer. It's like you
எக்ஸைட்ல விசில் போடு சாங் விஷுவலி பயங்கர ட்ரீட்டாக இருந்துச்சு. ஓகே, ரெஃபரன்ஸ் என்ன சொல்லியிருந்தார் விபி அதுக்கு விசில் போடு?
See, whistle podu vandu there was a lot of ideations. The first thing that we shot, and it was a celebratory song. It's an introduct, but we treated it in a very realistic way. In terms of, yes, Raju Sundar Master is such a treat to work with. When Rajivan sir, we're all sitting together, like, what is it? What is the song about? It is basically four friends like having a good time at a Delhi bar, right? So I think it's a production design that wooden textures and the golden, it is like a Delhi bar, right? And something that from our end, what we've done is that these days people use a lot of LEDs for lighting, but somehow I'm not a big fan of that because I feel that it brings a little bit of plasticity to the skin and stuff like that. So we used only tungsten lights for the light, for the whole thing, and I feel that really worked magic because it brings that warmth in the skin. And initially the original grade was a little bit more warmer, but we kind of brought a little neutral warmth and sollala, but I think it worked wonderfully. So we kept the lighting was done very tungsten, very warm, and to keep it very real, and yet stylized. So like I said, the sweet spot continues.
Spark also அந்த மாதிரி தான் இருந்துச்சுல்ல?
Spark was also again mixed reality. Basically a production designer Rajivan sir had like created the waterfall is real, so we used the mist in the waterfall, so that creates a beautiful depth in the background. And the pink lighting, it's come out well, I think. In the desert also.
Okay, your next project, sir?
I'm talking to a Telugu film.
Telugu. Okay, waiting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hola! Your dream vacation to Turkey starts from rupees 79,999 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.